Hey, everybody. Just wanted to give you a quick content warning before you start the episode. In case you haven't seen Back to the Future, the film does contain upsetting scenes of sexual assault and historically accurate but seriously uncool racial slurs. Oh, yeah, and we curse all the time, just like normal. So there's that too. Enjoy. See you next time. Hello, and welcome to the I Love You But podcast. I'm Heather, and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week, we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back on our past to say, I love you, but... I've been making ice cubes out of cold coffee. I'm that person now. I've become one of those people that has two kinds of ice in my freezer. Are we going to wait for you to finish eating before we start?
No, I just need to put a little bit more food in me and then I'll be good.
Yeah, I had to shake off my my hangover, which I did by finishing Queen Charlotte, which I was not expecting that to be the ending. Yeah, because I don't really know. I start and stop, and I don't necessarily always start and stop with episodes, and I never really know how many episodes are in something, and it takes me so long to watch things that I just never know where I am. And then I was like, oh fuck, that's the end. Shit. Well now, and then I started watching XO Kitty.
How's that going?
It's very silly, but I'll probably keep watching it, so we'll see. I tried to get them to watch it at school because it's like, oh, this is something I want to watch that I could actually watch at school because I'm a terrible teacher.
So what did you think of Queen Charlotte?
I rarely enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Not I rarely enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So at times I found it really hard to compromise young Charlotte with old Charlotte. She's so cold and unfeeling, the older Charlotte.
Yeah.
And the younger Charlotte, you know what I mean? After the things she went through, you would think with her own children, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then I think they do a good job of showing that as it goes on with his mother and basically being okay, you're the queen, you want this, it's yours, it's your job to protect so going into that whole protection of the line and maybe that they were just so in love with each other they didn't give a fuck about their kids and just the stress of him being crazy. But I loved that, absolutely loved the last scene. Spoilers,
It's been out a while.
I know, but whatever. Yeah, of them under the bed and they keep looking at each other and seeing the younger version. It was very sweet. It was very sweet. So I love her sorrows, prayers, sorrows, prayers. How conservatives respond to mass shootings. It's thoughts and prayers, sorrows,
Yeah.
prayers, sorrows, prayers. Fuck you. And I like the scene where kids confront her and we're you are a terrible mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are. So, okay, go. What are your thoughts?
No, but then also they withheld that they had lost babies.
Yeah.
They had lost pregnancies. And that to me is very interesting that I felt like it was a really complicated dynamic, which you don't always see. So I appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
I also felt like it was really nice that there were the gay boys, but so painful to watch that man dance by himself at the end. And not because, oh, I'm so sad he doesn't have that guy, but I get what you're trying to do for the narrative, but no. This just looks awkward and uncomfortable, and I don't like it.
Yeah. And they don't really explain, did Tall Man die? Did he just die? Yeah. Yeah.
how complex and how unlikable a lot of the characters were. And I appreciate Shonda bringing in the idea of love as an action, love as a choice.
Mm,
You know, like once Charlotte committed to loving him, then that was it.
yeah.
She loved him, you
Yeah.
know, instead of this whole, oh, well, we met and we fell in love. It's like, no, that's not really going to work for most people. But if you can love as an active verb
Yeah.
and work at it, then yeah, that can be a meaningful way to have a life. And I really appreciated a depiction of a rather extreme mental illness, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought was handled fairly tastefully.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, I thought it was much better than the second series of Bridgerton. And I don't blame the actors of the second series of Bridgerton. The writing just wasn't there. And I blame the fans because the fans loved it and just demanded more, and they delivered and they needed more time.
Yeah.
So I'm
I'm looking
glad that
forward
they,
to this next one, the Penelope one.
sure. Yeah.
So and like some like so I've gone back and I've read I think almost all of the books about the kids. So yeah, so hopefully I think there's a lot for them to work with for stuff. Did I tell you about Ben coming in while I was watching it?
Mm.
He like came into the room while I was watching an episode of Queen Charlotte. He comes in and like I'm folding laundry or whatever, and he's just standing there. I think Elliot's in the bathtub or something. He's like, after a minute, he's like, "Where is this set?" I was like, "England." He's like, "So this is fiction? Like this is fictitious or fantasy here?" And I was like, "What makes you say that? Like, what do you feel is not historically accurate?" Because he's like, no, obviously he's never seen Bridgerton or know anything
Right.
about it at all. But he was just like, I had fun messing with him on that one. We just started. I was like, "What? Why do you say that?"
There's definitely typically a whitewashing of Regency and Victorian England, like as if they're white people.
Well, yeah, no, and that's exactly what it was. He's like, "Why are there so many people of color like dancing?" And but then I also like that they like wrote it into the narrative as well. It wasn't just like we're putting people of color in because we're woke and we don't care. It's like, you know what? Let's the great experiment, right? Which so like a nod to that and like just acknowledging it instead of just having it there. So,
Pass the Bechdel test with flying colors.
oh my Lord, it probably blew up the Bechdel test.
8.5 out of 10 for me, but that's pretty good. I'm pretty picky. So I want to go back to XO Kitty.
Oh God.
No. It's okay.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
We've got some programming coming up for this summer.
Yes.
And this episode is the first of the blockbuster series.
Summertime.
We'll be talking about Back to the Future. And for Father's Day, we've got Raising Arizona coming up because that's one we always watch with our dad. We've got a Barbie themed episode coming up. We've got a Pride themed episode coming up. And then, as hopefully you have seen on social media, we have, as I mentioned, our wonderful blockbusters. So starting with this episode, Back to the Future, then June 29th, we have Ghostbusters, July 27th, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and ending August 24th with E.T. Plus, we just announced our I'm a Teenager, I'm in Love, and I Got a Dance series, which will start next week, June 1st, with Footloose,
Ooh.
and Dirty Dancing on July 13th, Grease on August 3rd, and the very next week, August 10th, is Grease 2. We have tried to do these thematic episodes. Obviously, we've got a Pride one coming up, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all that good stuff. It's May. It is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Woo!
And I racked my brain And the only positive, somewhat non-stereotypical and yet still stereotypical. I mean, what do you have from the 80s, right? So not everybody understands the way that we've structured the show.
Yeah.
Right now, this season, quote unquote, we're only watching up to 1989 or before. So anything we would have watched in the 80s, right? So there's tons of other stuff we watched in the 90s that might be in the 90s or before the 90s. We're not there yet. We got hundreds of episodes to go. So when we're thinking about the 80s and how do we honor Asian American and Pacific Islanders, right? We've got Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Which I don't even know if I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, you have it? I saw it. I definitely watched that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the one kid was in The Goonies and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
TV, there's really not a lot. And then there was like whitewashing, right? Like Gandhi, right? Like
Yeah.
Gandhi was played by an English man who is white. So I apologize for the 80s.
Also, that movie where Keanu Reeves played Buddha, that was in the 90s though, but yeah.
Yeah, no. If there are positive representations out there from the 80s, will you please send them to us so that we can hit that next year? Because we definitely would like to. I mean, we can do The Karate Kid for sure. But I'd love to focus on something that maybe people aren't aware of, right? If there's some TV show that I'm just not even thinking about, or some really great movie, even if it's a minor character, you know. But this week,
I wonder if they had an Asian person on Sesame Street in the 80s.
I don't remember.
Okay, anyways.
We definitely watched Sesame Street in the 80s, that's for sure.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Please give us some feedback.
That's right.
School us. Enlighten us.
We need to learn. But this week we kick off the first of our summer blockbusters with Back to the Future. Ryan Davis, what do you remember about Back to the Future?
I had a whole page of things I remember about this movie. I remembered a lot about this movie.
Bring it on.
I like this movie a lot. Dog food. Never was sure what, like, I know now, but when I was a kid, I didn't really quite understand what had happened and with the Libyans and why they were killing him. I remember that Marty McFly slept in a really funny position in this movie. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember one day being like, I'm going to lay in my bed like he did. I don't know why.
Did you put on suspenders?
I didn't put on suspenders. Is when we lived in Campbell Street. So that gives you like a time frame. And we still had those. Do you remember those Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy lamps that we had that Grandma gave us?
Yep.
Yeah. And so for some reason, my lamp was on the floor next to my bed without the lampshade turned on. And somehow in the I'm going to lay like Marty McFly, I put my arm down and I still have a very vague top of light bulb shaped scar on my arm where I burned the fuck out of myself. So yes.
Pop culture.
Yes.
These are our sacrifices to you. We've given you skin, blood, sweat, tears, and most of all, time. Lots of time.
Yeah. I would be interested to see if Mom remembers me burning my arm on the light bulb.
I can.
So, which is something that Elliot will never have to deal with because now we have LED light bulbs or whatever, and they don't really get hot. Y'all don't have to deal with burning your arm on a fucking light bulb because you're bored.
Right.
And trying to entertain yourself in a non-destructive way. Breaking the little wire things off the front of the fan or tearing up my blinds was not okay. So, I remember him trying not to have sex with his mom. Fading Photo, Johnny Be Good, Calvin Klein, name in his underwear, the cake, the Jailbird Joey Cake, Sexual Assaults, Huey Lewis and the News, and Save the Clock Tower. That was what I wrote down. I definitely remembered more, but that was what I wrote down.
So I got a lot of those. I got Follow Me for the Changes.
Ugh,
But I
Dylan.
think I mostly remember that because that guy Dylan used to always, always,
Yeah.
always make that joke. Crispin Glover was a sex pest. The barn. And I remember that the flex capacitor looked a lot like the veins in my arm on my wrist when I was a kid. And now
We
I have a tattoo there. So it's not like I can put it on Instagram and be like, see, you can't really tell.
I love that we both have Back to the Future arm related memories.
That's right. Skin related Back to the Future memories. This is a mess. How many times did we watch this movie?
A lot.
So, Ryan, do you want to try to give a quick synopsis for the rare chance that someone has not seen Back to the Future?
To the Future. Okay, so it's 1985. Marty McFly, the youngest of three children to the McFly family. The whole family's just a bunch of losers, pretty much. But Marty has dreams of playing in a band and owning a truck. His best friend is a 70-year-old, 60-year-old mad scientist named Doc Brown. Marty gets mixed up in Doc Brown's shenanigan plan because he has invented a time machine. But unfortunately, in order to operate the time machine, which is a DeLorean, he needs plutonium. So he dupes some Libyan nationals who want him to make a bomb and steals their plutonium. Shenanigans ensue. And when the Libyans return for justice, they, some kill him, and Marty ends up going back in time to 1955, November 5th, 1955, because it's November 5th, 1985, where he's at. He, of course, steps on all the butterflies, gets in the way of his parents' meet cute, and messes things up, and his family starts to disappear. But he ends up fixing it all and returning to Back to the Future right after some really terrible cultural appropriation.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, and when he gets back, they're no longer losers. Everyone is super cool, even though all three children, two of whom are very much adults, still live at home. But
We don't need
they
to
wear
talk about
suits
that. That's
now.
how you generate generational wealth, baby. Use those economies of scale.
Yes. So that is my synopsis of.
So that was great. That was a really good synopsis. I mean, to me, the best jokes about this movie have all been told by John Mulaney, and we always tell John Mulaney jokes, so we'll try to skip over all those. But
I don't remember John Mulaney's bits about this.
that's okay.
Oh, okay. Something to look forward to.
The opening scene is like a tracking shot of Doc Brown's kitchen situation.
I think it's his garage.
Okay, his garage situation. And he has about, I don't know, 50 clocks.
Were you jealous of that owl clock?
I said, I'm going to need to get that owl clock. And then I also said, is he a Time Lord? Because why would he have so many clocks?
Because he was doing an experiment. But here's the thing that I noticed watching this time that I never picked up on. But so in that panning, right? So they're in the garage and they're panning, and then you see like a framed newspaper clippings
About their house being destroyed?
Yeah, the Brown estate or mansion destroyed. And I don't think we ever got answers on what happened to the Brown estate.
But also, why would you have that framed and your house? Unless you're the one who did it and you're happy because you got away with it.
Well, but I feel like the garage he's in is like the same garage. Because remember, they're in the garage later when he's back in time.
Sure.
And I think it's the same garage. So he's just like, the house got demolished. He's like, I'm just going to live in my garage now. I don't know.
I have no idea. I didn't go that deep into this at all. I did want to make a note that that toast was too burnt even for me, and I really like a darkly toasted toast.
There's like, oh, just the dog slop. Like, oh,
Ugh.
that's so
You know
gross.
what was even more gross than the dog slop?
But
The product placement.
oh yeah, there's a lot. Like, I really feel like I had been thinking that was a fairly new thing, and now going back and watching this, I'm like, Jesus Christ, no, it was like all over the place.
Yeah, but this one, it's like, it felt like a NASCAR. Like, how many sponsors do you need, Zemeka?
It's always like I loved the Who's on First bit where he's like, I want a tab. I can't get your tab till you order something.
Yeah.
Give me a Pepsi free. Nothing's free here. Like, oh my God. So like, so he's got all the clocks and then they all go off at 8 o'clock.
Hmm.
And then he's like, oh good, they're all 25 minutes slow. And Marty, who just got there,
Yes. Doesn't know
is
what
like,
time it is.
shit, I'm late for school. Like, I don't know what time, like you just got there. Like you
Yeah.
how,
Well, and immediately before that, he turned all of the amps and all the sound machines up to 11 and then blew the
1,000.
speaker. And I was like, dude, that place was messy enough. Marty, you didn't need to come in and make a bigger mess in your acid washed jeans. What's going on, man?
He's like, well, this place is fucked. Just add to it. I definitely don't think I remembered him wanting to be like being in a band. I don't know, even though I remember him playing, but whatever.
You remembered his very bad fake guitar playing?
Well, that's like at the end, I was like, I can't believe they really wanted us to believe that this was Michael J. Fox singing this.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't believe I probably did. One thing that I was surprised I left out of the writing down what I remembered is the skateboarding on cars, like holding onto cars and
Oh
skateboarding.
yeah, I had skateboard in my original thing.
Oh yeah, no, like I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, this movie does a really good job of setting itself up to be like, oh yeah, you already showed me that. Oh yeah, you already told me that. Oh yeah, like so then when you go back
Yeah.
in time, everything's all just like perfectly set up and there are no surprises. I thought it was weird there was a triple X theater in the suburbs.
I wrote that like when he comes back and you see more of it, like the town's kind of a shithole in the
Oh yeah.
85.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
an absolute shithole. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it wasn't, this isn't a John Hughes movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is a different, I mean, it was definitely filmed outside of LA, so, I'm not gonna say anything else about that. So we have the principal acting like a dickhead, right?
I know. I wrote outstanding educator.
So then I went ahead and I just started tracking other 80s tropes. So we have a mall, we have a
Yes.
vanity license plate, we have a diet soda, teenagers, a bully, a sex pest, a teenager experiencing significant trauma,
Mm.
and
And
aerobics. And how annoyed was I when Marty McFly is standing there talking to his girlfriend
mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
women walk by in their aerobics outfit and he turns to
Yep.
check them out. It was like,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
not there for you to look at.
Yes.
Win it.
And his girlfriend just like grabs his chin, like, oh, you, like, get
Uh-huh.
the fuck out of here. And then 10 minutes or like 5 minutes later, she's talking to him and he gets distracted by a goddamn truck.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh, worst. Absolute
Shallow,
fucking
shallow
worst.
little teenager.
Oh, oh.
I would like to say that Einstein the dog didn't ask for any of that shit.
I know. And why did Einstein have to be in the car? Like, if the car was like self-directed, why did anyone or anything have to be in the car? What was the purpose of putting the dog in the car?
I think it was to show that his molecular integrity would be there, but how do you know?
I guess, like, well, if we're gonna vaporize someone, vaporize the dog.
And then later they all put on their plutonium suits, but Einstein is not wearing adequate protection. Like he does
Well,
not.
Einstein was in the van.
Yeah,
Einstein
but
like went in
he was wearing part of a plutonium suit, but it didn't cover all of him. It's
the
like
he was
just
in the
for
van. It
show.
was fine. Okay, but hold on. Before we get to the mall scene,
Hmm.
when he's like his whole family, the whole home life and
Right.
Biff.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that man an adult? Like, I mean, I was just like rolling with it and then like whatever. But then when he like looks at Marty and he's like, "What are you looking at, butthead?" Like, you're a grown ass human being calling a teenager a butthead. Like, how are you a fucking adult? And can we talk about Crispin Glover's laugh? I can't even do it. Like, I would murder him in his sleep. Like,
Apparently, he annoyed one of the producers a lot. But he went like next level weirdo. Last week, Peggy Sue got married, another teenager goes back in time kind of thing. This time on her own timeline. But we had Nick Cage being a weirdo. And then this week,
Crispin Glover is
woo,
nice.
Crispin Glover turned it up.
I mean, as a human being, Crispin Glover's just gone next level weirdo.
He's a strange man, yes.
Yes. Still attractive though. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like his laugh, underline, dear God.
Yeah,
And also the Diet Pepsi can, it was so old.
I know, but it was of the time.
But I don't remember drinking out of cans like that.
We didn't drink Diet Pepsi.
But
So
like, weren't all cans like that? Like shaped like that?
shaped like what? It was shaped like a can. What do you mean shaped
Yeah,
like?
but it was like, never mind. I wrote down that watching this really made me want to eat pizza.
It did?
Yeah, because I feel like we probably like ordered pizza and watched it like every time we watched this movie. I don't know why, but at one
I mean,
point,
probably it was just because we ordered pizza so much
yeah,
that
yeah, maybe I just really want pizza because I haven't had pizza in a while because
maybe.
I downloaded an app to block Papa John's on my phone
Good job. Good
because
job,
I
you.
have problems. I know. I said they probably shouldn't shoot around plutonium, like when they're just shooting
Yeah,
guns with
I
plutonium around.
did you notice that the doc's van said 24-hour scientific services?
See that part? I just saw Dr. Brown Enterprises.
And I know that before we said we have an episode called This Is Why We Have IRB, but I think we need to bring that back for this one because IRB would have never, ever approved this experiment. Like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he doesn't need IRB. He doesn't work for a university, like,
still, there
or
should
an
be some
organization.
ethics governing this.
He's a private investing whatever. I don't know. Did you look up anything about this movie?
I read most of the Wikipedia page, but it
So
wasn't.
you know that in the scenes where Marty's running around, that is in fact Eric Stoltz and not Michael J. Fox.
I knew that that they had started principal photography with Eric Stoltz as
Yeah.
Marty McFly, and then it didn't really work, so they brought in Michael J. Fox or whatever. No, but I do think they made the right choice because Eric
100%.
Stoltz kind of has like a weird, it's like a mix of innocence and smarminess. And
Yeah, he's kind of got an asshole vibe.
yeah, I mean, you needed somebody like wholesomely good,
Yeah.
like Michael J.
Like the
Fox.
way his voice cracks sometimes is like
Yeah.
super cute. Yeah. But yeah, so I was looking up, I was like, Jennifer, this actress, what else was she in? And so that's how and the answer is nothing.
Yeah. They recast her into the girlfriend part because they took a vote among the crew, and the crew thought that Marty had to be taller than his girlfriend. So they
But he's not.
recast that part.
Is he taller than her?
Or at least the same height. Like the actress
Oh,
who had originally been, when it was Stoltz, there was another
yeah.
actress,
Yeah.
and Stoltz went away and they brought in Fox. And the girl that was supposed to play her was too tall. She was taller than him.
Yeah.
And so they took a vote among the crew again. Who do you think the crew were on Back to
All
the
men. All men. But like super feminist, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yep. Good times, good times. Ugh.
But yeah, so like she quit acting after that because her mom got breast cancer, and so she quit
Oh,
acting to take care of her mom, and so that's why she's also not in any of the sequels. They recast it with Elizabeth Shue, who we
oh,
know from Adventures in Babysitting,
it all
right?
ties in on itself. Yeah. So
So
basically, through dumb luck, Marty ends up in the car after the trauma of seeing his best friend, this old a mad scientist, die, and ends up time traveling to 1955. Like the
yes,
farm family reaction shots were Christopher Columbus level bad and really annoying. And I wondered at this point if part of the reason this movie is so popular is because we're dumb and we like movies that are super repetitive.
yeah.
So it's like if a character says one line in the movie and then they say that line again later, it's probably going to get nominated for an Oscar.
And like the jokes kept repeating, right?
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like there was constantly jokes about like the future or the past, like or
Yeah.
like like we know something they don't know, so that's why this is funny. And then like the whole fucking everyone thinking he was a sailor because he had the puffy vest on. Like I didn't get that as a kid. I still don't understand it. Like everyone thought he was a sailor.
Looks like a
It
life
doesn't.
vest.
I guess it looks like a life vest.
If you've never seen a puffer vest, then yeah, it looks like a life vest. Like
I
I would
guess,
just
but
like to
like,
take a moment here to pause for a commercial break because we watched this on Tubi and it was free. It's very nice. That's great. But it had commercials. And
yeah.
one of the commercials was for the marketed to women deodorant Secret.
uh
And it wasn't a rerun from 1985. This is a brand new 2023 commercial.
Oh
And my
Jesus.
question is, why do we still have a deodorant called Secret? It should be called Get Over It.
It's we call it stanky.
Yeah, it should be called You're Welcome. I don't have to do this, but
Yeah,
I'm doing it
I'm
anyway.
risking breast cancer so you don't have to smell my natural body
That's
fragrances.
right. And I
Yeah.
shouldn't have to keep this a secret. I'm going to hand out tampons left and right. I don't need to hide those. I don't need to hide deodorant. Guess what?
Oh, I know. Like, so like my students now, like I don't know if it's generational, I don't know, it's just but like they are very like I mean sometimes some of them will come up and be like, or something like that. But then there are some that are like, who has a tampon I can use? Like yelling. And like
Good.
the older teachers are just like, why do we have to yell about it? I'm like,
Do you remember when for Robin's baby shower, I made a chastity belt for her?
tampons hanging off of it. Like,
So this grown ass woman that we worked with and got pregnant and had a baby, and her husband like immediately wanted to get her pregnant again. And she didn't want to get pregnant again. She wanted to kind of wait a little while, right?
well, because he
Um,
wanted to have like 20 kids or something,
oh,
right?
he wanted to have a bunch of kids. She did not want to have a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And of course, hopefully most of you know enough about the female, the lady body, that it is extremely fertile immediately after giving birth. So,
The
yeah.
lady body. Even if you breastfeed, breastfeeding does not make you infertile. Like people
Someone
think that if
say
you're
that?
no, do yes, people think that if you're breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant. And so that's why a lot of people end up having like babies like right after they've had a baby.
So
Because
one
there's
time,
like this, it's like an old wives' tale, right?
that's
Like,
dumb. Believe in
yeah.
science, y'all. Don't believe in that shit. So one time, Robin told us this other story about her husband where she was driving and she started getting a nosebleed and it was bleeding pretty profusely. And she was like, Scott, can you reach in my purse and hand me a tampon? He could not touch the wrapped tampon, it was too much for him. So that is how I ended up making her a chastity belt to wear post
Yeah.
pregnancy that had tampons dangling off of it.
A grown ass man who would go hunting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can touch dead animals.
Yep. Can't
Can't
touch
touch
fucking
a
tampon.
wrapped up piece of fucking cotton.
Yep. So back to the past to talk about Back to the Future. The fringed lamps in
Oh
Doc's
my God.
mansion. Oof.
That I was like the brown mansion. The outside of the mansion was awesome.
Yeah, that was nice.
Um
I also feel bad because Marty McFly not only has to life coach his dad, but he's also inadvertently cock blocking him. Kind of a weird early version of that movie with Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling. Never mind, doesn't matter.
Oh,
You know what
I
I'm talking
rewatched that recently. Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Where he uses the word schnoz to
Yeah.
refer to his penis.
And from here on out, I mostly just have a bunch of like random thoughts. Ryan, did you know that the tape that Marty played to freak out his dad was my Van Halen mixtape? It was
I
not
thought
even,
that
just said really big on it. Van Halen, like not the actual Van Halen tape, just a tape that had Van Halen on.
see, I assumed it was his like demo tape. The old girl was like, "You need to send this to a record label."
Oh
Like,
yeah, maybe. I
I
don't know.
don't know.
Did you know that Marty's jacket was dope as hell?
Yeah, all the jacket, I literally wrote the jackets and
Yeah.
underlined it because all I know you told me that I can talk about the costumes,
Hmm.
but they're great. They were great again,
Yeah.
always. I don't know. This is probably why I have a love of, you wouldn't think I have a love of costuming and clothing to look at me or my wardrobe, but as mom says, I got champagne taste on a beer budget.
There you go.
But yeah, the jackets were amazing, like and the shirts and her dress. Oh,
Yeah. The dress, the fact that it didn't have straps, I always felt that she was so much more vulnerable,
mm,
because of the way they have her in the car and even and she's got like all that tool or twal, whatever it's called, like all that crap, the
yeah,
crinoline that's built up, right? But at the
yeah,
same time, when she like leans over, you can kind of see down into her cleavage. I'm sure there are many people who had a different reaction to that shot, but to me, I always got a little anxious because I felt like she was so vulnerable in that moment,
hmm,
right? Like
yeah,
she's in this costume that is built for one thing and it's definitely not built for like fighting off teenage dudes who want to rape you like
yeah.
at all. So I don't know, the dress is pretty, but it's always made me nervous.
Well, and I forgot, like I remembered the car scene with Beth and the sexual assault, there, but like even in the cafeteria
Yep.
scene,
Yep.
I've forgotten about that where
Yep.
he's like grabbing on her, and it's just
Yep.
like to think that that was ever considered okay,
It's
right?
I
Or
mean, that
like,
happened to me on the bus in like eighth
yeah,
grade. Like I mean,
God.
you know.
Like, and I know there's still people like you cannot touch people who don't want to be touched. Like, you can't touch people without permission in
Well,
any way,
and
shape,
there
or
wasn't
form.
really any like upstander training either, right? So like now we
Yeah,
have that where it's like you don't just walk by or ignore it, right? Like you
yeah,
you say something and do something. And Marty does stuff, which is great. Like
yeah.
he doesn't want to see his mom get assaulted, which is good, I think.
I mean, yeah, but like the fact that George like even thinks about walking away at the end, like he like totally fucking hesitates. Like,
Yeah. It's like I would rather her get raped than me get beat up.
yeah,
Like
like
nice one, George. Nice one.
why is that even a?
Yeah. George, the writer who doesn't know what to say, and Marty has to write his lines for him. Like, oh, you're a good writer, huh?
I'm sure he's a great science fiction space writer.
So, in addition to the repetition, I think making this very popular because we're dumb, the score to this movie is way too good for this movie. Like,
It it won an Oscar for sound effect and something else. What is it? It won a bunch of BAFTAs and
oh yeah,
it
I
won
know. It's a
one,
yeah.
yeah, an Oscar for best effects and sound effect editing. which
Yeah,
isn't the score, but
it's
whatever.
not. But the score, the like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Like when the man
Yeah,
takes off, and
yeah.
like, I'm like, this is way too good for this movie. Like these
Well,
effects.
they got a lot of use out of it because they used the same thing in two and three.
Well, good. They didn't need to do anything else. It's just gorgeous and
It's so
powerful.
good.
And yeah, man. Plus repetition, right? We're dumb. We respond
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I was real sad at the dance when, you thought Lorraine was in good hands with George, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a red-headed sex pest with a maniacal
Oh
laugh
my
shows up.
God.
They're just coming out of the woodwork.
Like so many fucking like men throwing up red flags when women like
Yeah,
ah
yeah,
like fuck you, walk away.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, oh, I'm just gonna walk away. Like, oh, I just saved her from like my ultimate scary bully nemesis, and now I'm just gonna let this fucking redheaded sex pest like,
Yeah.
oh, oh Jesus Christ.
I will say that as much as I could tear this movie apart for various things, and I mean, I think so far we have a little bit. We've definitely poked at it, right? We've been critical.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I've seen this movie countless times. Like I literally don't
Mm,
remember how many times I've seen it. It's not hundreds, but it's a lot.
a lot,
And
yeah.
even the other day, sitting there watching it, I was like, "Oh no, the cable broke." Doc, you gotta go get it. And then it like slides down onto his shoe and is caught on his pants. And I'm like, are you gonna? And then the thing comes apart at the other end. And I'm like, oh my God, is it? I know what happens. Like, for one, it's a Hollywood movie, so of course it works. But like, they were so good at like it was like the climax just kept going and going and going and going
Yeah.
and going like obstacle 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 and then like finally payoff. Like they really kept you on the hook through that whole like scene, which is a lot.
On the hook.
On the
Because there's
hook.
because there's a hook on the car. See, now I had the opposite reaction where I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, the fucking cable's gonna fall. Yeah, I forgot about this. Like, see, I'm the opposite where I was like, yeah, come on, we know it's gonna all work out in the end. Like, stop
Although
with
it's
all the
fair.
tomfoolery.
But I
I
did
will
like
say,
I was just gonna say part of what I enjoy during those scenes is Christopher Lloyd's goofy ass reactions, where you're like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is why they cast you in Who Framed Roger Rabbit." Yeah, what are you doing with your eyeballs, man?
Christopher Lloyd is great. Like when Marty's late because he has to like I don't know do his chop song, play something wild, I don't know, whatever. And
Yeah,
he's like, damn, damn, damn it. Like every time he looks at his watch like three times in a row. I'll also say that I feel like Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd have more chemistry with each other than anyone else in the movie. Like
oh,
them
absolutely.
together was great.
Yeah,
Like when
yeah.
Lorraine was there in the like being all thirsty
Hmm.
in the garage and like Christopher Lloyd's like leaning on the car behind him and like Michael J. Fox is like leaning on him. Like, it was so cute. Like, it
Yeah,
was really cute.
when he like randomly went to high school with him and nobody asked what the hell he was doing there. Like, take your
Why'd
weird
you bring your
scientist to high
dad to
school.
school?
Hey.
Well, he was new, so maybe they thought he was just there to like enroll him. I don't
Nobody
know.
tried to enroll him. I mean, nobody was like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, come get registered. You have to go to class.
Well,
Like,
Biff
no,
was like, "You're new around here, so I'm gonna cut you some slack." Like they
right.
did recognize that he was.
Still, he was basically a delinquent the whole time he was there.
And we talk about the only people of color in this movie.
Yeah, I think that's definitely worth bringing up.
The band,
Hmm.
Marvin,
Hmm.
Marvin Berry and
Hmm.
his band. So when they go to throw and they're like, oh, we're just gonna randomly throw this kid in this random open trunk we found.
Right.
And it's like the band's trunk, and then the one guy gets out and the kid calls him a spook, which whoa, okay, all right.
Yep.
Historically accurate, but still okay.
Yep.
And then they all get out, and the white kid's like, I don't want to mess with no reefer addicts. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. That was fun. New thing that I don't remember or probably didn't get. And then of course just the whole like ha 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 Chuck Berry stole this song from a white kid. Like,
Yeah, not great.
yeah, after the long history of white people stealing rock and roll from people of color. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, of course, in the 80s, we were all like, because Chuck Berry. Yeah. Mm, funny.
To kind of get close to wrapping it up, a couple other random
Yeah.
the amount of sweat that Michael J. Fox has on him in both of the DeLorean scenes is ridiculous. Like, it could not have been that hot in that car. There's no reason for him to be that sweaty. It was just silly. And then I don't know how I didn't notice it at the beginning, but at the end, when they show Doc again, he has some big ass like paperclip on his pocket. Like, it's the biggest paperclip I've ever seen. I don't know why it was there.
I don't
It's
remember
just a
that.
really random thing that I was like, what is that? So I want to say, despite the BS, Back to the Future was fun to watch. Mostly, I think, because of Michael J. Fox's charm. I like
Yeah.
that he never really stayed still.
Yeah.
He was always kind of moving around, and he really does seem to be into whatever it is that's going on screen, right? He seems to be in the moment, even in really terrible ways, like when he can't actually play guitar. But of Marty McFly, who the fuck wants that truck? How is that your dream? And how Michael J. Fox's charm sold us on that? Because you put anybody else in that movie checking out the aerobics chicks while talking to his girlfriend and
Yeah.
wanting that truck and liking Van Halen. I am
Yeah.
not voting for that guy. I'm not rooting for that guy. And know what? He probably would have macked down on his mom. But no, it was Michael J. Fox, so it was all good.
I know. Well, and that's what makes it worse because it's so out of character. It's like these moments where it's just like, okay, wait, what? He's not going to do that. He doesn't want that truck.
Right.
I have one other question.
Okay, bring it on.
Why did Lou's Cafe have a letterhead? Like, what diner has fucking official letterhead? Like, it was a hotel.
I didn't even notice that. Good call.
I didn't. I noticed it at the end when Doc like unfolded the letter that he had taped back together. Like I didn't notice it when he was writing. When he was writing it, I noticed he had a pot of ink, and I was like, I really feel like they had
Fountain
ballpoint pens.
yeah.
Like I think they had ballpoint pens in 1955.
But
Like
maybe
I
not
don't.
at the Brown Mansion. I mean, at the Brown Mansion, they might have been like,
Yeah, or maybe at Lou's they were like, here, have some letterhead and a fountain pen to pen your letter to your friend about the lovely meal you had here.
I also liked when he was like, going back, I want a drink without sugar in it. And they're like, here's coffee. And I'm like, water.
I know. I really
Wasn't
thought
it
they were
sugar?
going to give him water. I forgot that they gave him coffee. I was like, they're going to give him water. And then I was like, oh.
Coffee.
And then I also like where he's like, you and Jennifer have to come too. And he's like, do we become assholes or something?
And I mean, in case you were wondering if there would be a sequel, what a way to say there's gonna be a fucking
There's gonna be
sequel.
a fucking sequel and cars are gonna fly. And guess what? Did not happen.
I know. Here we are, all these years later. No
I know.
cars.
We have lived past and we don't have hologram sharks coming out and making it. Jaws did not go through 16 iterations.
Nope, not so much.
Yeah. Like I almost kind of wanted to watch because like after it ended, it was like Grease 2, fuck. Back to the Future 2 coming on next. And I was like,
I
But
don't even know that I ever saw 3. I'm sure I watched 2, but I don't think I watched 3.
I saw 3. You didn't watch the one where they like go back to the Wild West?
think so.
Oh shit! Oh,
really
we
bad,
gotta
right?
watch. It was. I don't think it was great.
Or 2 was there just to make 3 make sense, but then if 3's in the Wild West, what does 2 have that makes 3 make
No,
sense?
I think 3 was just like we're gonna try to like. I think because I think 2 was really successful.
Okay.
I remember 2 being pretty good, and then because like had all the cool like future stuff.
Yeah.
But 3 was just like, well, let's see if we can eke out a little more money.
Sure.
And it was like they turned the train into a time machine or something. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, his name. Oh, yeah. So in the third part, because he always has to have like a name.
Yeah.
And so he said his name was John Wayne. And
Whatever.
he's like wearing like a costume. I don't know. I vaguely remember it. I've definitely seen it once. It's possible I saw it twice. I don't know. I may have gone to the theater to see it. I don't remember. Do you remember that? Do you remember going to see movies in movie theaters?
Yeah, I do.
It seems so long ago.
I know. I'll do it again someday. I'm just not there yet.
Well, we saw Thor, Love and Thunder, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, do we
Well,
do the extra now?
yeah, Ryan, thank you. This is fun. I enjoyed watching Back to the Future. It's still
I did too.
it had all the things that can win you over even when you're like, man.
Misogyny's bullshit.
Yeah. Thank you all. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss the first of our I'm a teenager, I'm in love, and I gotta dance movies, Foot Loose. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? And what should we talk about in future episodes? Do you have ideas for other themes? Bring it on. We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram at I Love You But Pod and on Twitter at I Love You Pod, or email us directly at I Love You But Pod at gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. You never know. And hey, if you're enjoying the podcast, I hope you are. You would really be doing us a big, big favor if you hop on over to especially Apple and give us a rating and a review. But if you like and follow us, give us some ratings wherever you listen. That would be so great. At the end of the day, we just appreciate you listening. I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan, and we send you lots and lots of conditional love.